Hello everybody, hope you guys are all doing super duper well. Been a bit of a slog this week, but still had some pretty good stuff happen. The eclipse here in St. Louis, while not total, was still pretty cool to witness. Got a little video of that for the house here for you. But me and my shop partner here, Sandy, have been hard at work, haven't we, Sandy? This kid loves me. She's ridiculous. Hey, I'm trying to talk to the people, and you're being a ding-dong. I swear the shop is definitely going to need a door, because keeping this little kitty away from these machines is going to be a good idea when I finally get them running. But you guys are in for a little bit of a shorter video this week, mostly because the tasks I did handle this week were, well, more lengthy. Or at least more lengthy than I thought they were going to be. I will definitely say that being a mason is not my favorite chore here in the house. And I'm glad that I'm almost through with this round of it, let's say. I think I have a few more things I have to do coming up in this wheelhouse. But as far as reconstructing walls that have giant voids in them, I'm done. So that makes me very happy. But let's get right into it. Alright, so back at this wall, you can see I've ripped most of the brick out. I still need to get these ones up here. These ones on here I'm actually going to leave. And there's one main reason for that. This is actually not just a normal hole or opening or void. This is actually an old chimney. Whoever said it was an old chimney, you would be correct. It definitely was a chimney, or still is. However, I don't need to connect anything down here in the basement, so I'm going to do quite a bit of infilling here. That hole there, though, I cannot completely fill it up because that's going to be the water spigot. So I've just sent a pipe through that, but no worries there. So basically what my thought is, the brick intertwined with the stone looked like crap. So what I'm going to do is use the bricks that were in this area and infill behind it in the face of it, the facade of it. I'm going to use the stone. Of course, the brick won't go all the way up and close the entire chimney, but having the brick up to about like here-ish, I think would be nice structurally. At least a little bit, give it a little bit of strength in here. Really, all the weight is on the outside of this wall and the inside of the wall. Luckily, those are the huge stones that are on the side of the building, so nothing's going anywhere here. It's quite secure. But I don't want to leave it like this forever, obviously. I think the longer it sits like this, the weaker it does get. So let's go ahead. I'll start by packing some bricks up. We'll build up to that level right there, right where the spigot will go through. And then I will shove that through and then we'll build around it.
So the really, really difficult section is now done. But I need a shower, and then I'll come back to you guys and we'll have a conversation about it. I'll let you know all the ins and outs of why this was a real pain. But after a shower first.
So it's a day later and I've had my shower, but let's get right back into another time lapse because I completed a bit more and I'd like to show it. All right, so let's have a look at the wall. I'd like to say that a lot has changed here, but honestly, so much of the work I did this week, no one will ever see. It's important work, don't get me wrong, but no one will ever know it's there except for me. But I do think overall, the way this stone has turned out looks much better than it did. It is weird to see red brick intertwined with the stone. Obviously, there's a meeting point where the red brick meets the old foundation. Where, of course, the red brick sits on top of the foundation, which is this lovely limestone. But for sure, this is a lot more stable now. It's a lot more secure. One thing I can say about this entire thing is I cannot believe the sheer amount of rubble I had to clear from here. All of this was up to about here, which is about 1.5 feet deep, especially in this middle section here, and of course around where I dug all that out. Quick little pro tip, this is how I actually remove heavier bits of rubble from the house. It's with IKEA bags of all things. These are the best construction bags money can buy, because if you fill one of these things up, it's probably about, well, with like rubble and sand and old mortar, these are probably about 80 pounds when I remove them. But just to let you know, the amount of stuff I pulled out of here, these are the last 2 bags. There were 12 before this. The just sheer amount of sand and stone and brick and random bird's nests that came out of this area was really crazy. And then, of course, the puzzle of getting this all back together, finding enough stones and getting enough stones, digging stones out of my yard, going to random lots and stuff around the area and pulling stones out of, well, just lots. Finding enough of them that fit enough correctly to be able to get this to work was, well, it was a tedious task. And I'm quite glad it's over, for sure. I spent a huge amount of time just fully doing prep work to get this ready to be able to insert the new material. 90% of every task I do here at the house is prep work, and this prep work for this wall has taken so long that realistically there wasn't a reason to time lapse it. Even the time lapse would be too long. Along with that, we have the new pipe with shutoff valve. Obviously in the winter, you do not want to run water outside because it will freeze. This will keep that safe and stop this pipe from bursting in the wall. If I had to dig this back out again, I think I would be very mad at myself. So we're going to avoid doing that. I have not plumbed it fully into the system yet. You can see the stub out here. Obviously anything that's exposed here in this house, I want it to be copper, but the main lines are PEX. You can see the blue line there, that's PEX. So I have to just feed it back over into the system. Should be fairly easy go. Now for the rest of the wall, I do think with the chimney being here and this being as black and kind of sooty as it was, I'm definitely thinking this is kind of where the original boiler would have went. Or something was going on here because they were definitely using that at some point as a chimney. They had it kind of lined up to be a chimney. And this kind of black color down here leads me to believe potentially that this used to be to store coal. Like that's why this is black. Of course, that would make sense to me. The only thing that kind of leads me to believe that maybe that's not the case is whatever is on these stones is really hard to get off. For instance, this area right here that I've cleaned up and took me a day to get this far was actually done with a needle scaler. To show you what that is, this right here is my needle scaler. You push this little button here, which I'm not gonna do because it's kind of late and it's loud. Drives these little needles into your stone. They bounce around up and down and will take chunks of the stone away if you're not careful. This tool is usually used to remove rust from metal or iron, or steel or iron. It's kind of heavy duty and a bit like overkill for this until you hit the point where whatever you're trying to get off of the stone will not come off. And I know I got a few comments that was saying, oh, clean the stone with a soft bristle brush. This is one of those really heavy duty kind of welding steel brushes. And you can see I've definitely been using brushes. I've stepped up to things that, well, should do the job. And, well, you can see how well it goes. They just wear down, and that's what's left of it. Of course, I have a new one, but it doesn't touch a lot of this black, sooty stuff here. In fact, you can see the little white spots and dots on here. That's from the needle scaler itself. So it has definitely improved some parts of the stone, but some parts it just will not let go of that color. And to be honest, I'm not gonna fight it anymore. But if we take in comparison of what that's looking like there, comparatively to this spot right here, which is what everything over there used to look like, we're doing quite well. You can't even tell the independent stones in this mess. It's just one big conglomerate of who knows what. But once you get it kind of chiseled out and down and back to the old mortar lines, and I fill it back up and it starts looking a bit more like that, well, even though we have a color gradient here as it gets darker closer to the floor, I still think it'll look 1,000 times better than, well, that, which is kind of a mess and is consistently dropping bits of old mortar, and yeah, frankly, it's just a mess. So I'll be happy when it's less of a mess. I will say, just doing that other wall that I finished last week, that entire project has made the basement at least 40% less dusty, which is amazing. When, you know, you come down here and everything's perpetually dusty, well, you know, I don't prefer it. So it has been easier to keep things clean after doing a project like this. So that means my tools and my machines, while probably will be dusty from sawdust, won't have the problem of lime mortar dust. So that'll be really, really nice. And next week should wrap up this project completely. Also, a quick shout out to Katie and Jason, my aunt and uncle, for the little quail tap they gave me, or spigot. It looks absolutely awesome on the side of the building. So big shout out to you guys. I know you guys are watching, so that thing is really cool and I'm glad to have it out there. Although I will have to say, because the quail is so big, it has to be quite far off the wall, but I don't think that'll ever be a problem. It looks so cool and looks so appropriate for the building. Before I leave you all, let me wrap up with this one last little thing. The weather this week is supposed to be fairly good, except for tomorrow, which is Tuesday. It's supposed to be a little bit rainy, some thunderstorms, some crazy stuff. But the rest of the week is supposed to be dry, or relatively dry, and relatively calm, which is a big thing because I need calm winds to get up in the lift. If it's blowing at 20, 30 miles an hour, well, it makes the lift a very, very scary experience. So I think we're getting the perfect little weather window this week to get outside, to get out of this basement, to stop staring at stones. Which, by the way, don't those look great? I love staring at those stones. But I won't subject you guys to it for much longer, at least. We'll get into some more fun, more meaningful projects, ones that will be apparent from the outside of the building. I do have to get up on the back of the building, actually, and fix some gutter work. I'm having some issues with my gutter up there. You know, one of those trust the professionals thing. I swear, every time I hire the professionals, I have to go fix it. Because the same problem always repeats itself, which is nobody will care about your house the way you care about your house. But it is the way it is, so I have to go correct some wrongs in the back of the house and stop some water intrusion problems, but before they become severe. So let's go ahead and handle that next week, shall we? All right, guys, thank you guys so much as always. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys again real soon. But until then, take care. Bye-bye.